Hey everybody, KC here. So this is a special edition of the Innovation Conversation. Tom Furphy, good to see you.
Hello everyone.
So you did a session on e-grocery 3.0, the premise being that everything before the pandemic was 1.0, when people were just kind of doing it, but there were still doubts about e-commerce, e-grocery. E-grocery 2.0 was during the pandemic. Everybody went into warp speed.
Yep.
Now we're at 3.0. They can take a more measured approach and a more strategic look at what they need to do. So talk to me a little bit about what happened in your sessions. What were people saying? What seemed to be the reaction?
It was a great session. We had Barry Clogan from WinShop and Fader from eGrocery and Galen Walters from RelationShop, StoryEye, and recently merged with Mercatus. So we had really good, panelists that are in the industry, building these platforms, and serving folks. And, it was just a really good conversation around, thinking about your customer. We had a lot of discussion on customer centricity. We had a lot of conversation around how to best engage with tech partners in solving your objectives. So many folks can get, a little overwhelmed with how to engage. A little overwhelmed with the size of their product roadmap. We have a lot of conversations around product roadmap and how you prioritize. But really it came down to, recognizing that, these tech companies that have been invested in, that their job is to listen to customers, produce capabilities that shoppers want, and be able to deliver that economically. That they're, you really, as a retailer, you should, be very willing to engage these tech partners, keep them honest, be willing to be clear in what you want to accomplish,
right?
But then also be willing to work with them to try things quickly, to, if you're going to fail fast, or at least fail measurably, or understand why it is you're failing. It was just a really good, really good conversation. We had a very full room. I know a lot of the breakouts were full as well, but a very, very full room and lots of really good questions from the audience.
Now, none of the companies up there, and this is by design, is named Instacart.
Yeah.
And Instacart is the 800 gorilla right now in terms of the non-chain, Walmart, Amazon, Kroger. Is it their sense that there is more opportunity out there for an Instacart alternative? Are companies that signed up with Instacart during, let's say, eGrocery 2.0 reconsidering those decisions in 3.0 because maybe they realize they've given up too much data, they need a more customized solution, they want to be differentiated from all the companies that have done business with Instacart? Yeah,
there was definitely conversation about that. There was a lot of conversation around having that customer relationship, right? Not, having the customer relationship and also generating the data from the relationship with that customer, then using the data back to help serve that customer better. And so there was a little bit of conversation around, are you best off to rely on one of the big partners? The big partners, being clearly Instacart, being Amazon, being these companies that can offer you great capabilities, but also maybe, while they are positioning their businesses to be trusted, and there's no reason we should not, certainly take their word for it.
Right.
That they're trying to wall off these, technology capabilities they're bringing to the industry. There are a lot of retailers that would just rather, have their own tech partners that aren't, selling grocery to customers otherwise, and doing it on their own. So we definitely had some conversation around it. I wouldn't say it was a big thrust of the conversation. I think it was mostly about, how can we kind of map our strategy, move more quickly through our product roadmap, and dynamically kind of resort our product roadmap, with an understanding of our customer and the vetting and the relationships with these external technology partners.
Is it your sense, though, that beyond what was said in the panel, is it your sense that you think there'll be more consolidation in that space? that, I mean,
Yeah.
two of the three panelists have already been through consolidation or acquisition by some measure.
Right.
Right.
Yes. With
Windshop,
yep,
right?
yep.
Acquired My Web Grocer.
Yep.
And
then-
Mercatus and all those guys,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So, do you think there's more consolidation going to happen?
Yeah, I do. And Galen said it well. He goes, I've come to the realization that we are either going to eat or be eaten.
Right.
And that comes from, the need to be able to have the resources to continue to innovate, to continue to bring new capabilities to the market. And as a single player company, providing a set of capabilities, is there enough market for you to get your market share of what it is you're doing? Can that become a big enough, sustainable, profitable company to be able to then further innovate?
Right.
And I think that the big guys clearly can do that. The big tech providers do that. The big retailers do that.
Yeah.
But these smaller retailers that are leveraging these these tech partners, there's definitely a sense that you're going to see consolidation, and rolling up, generally among the tech partners, which is not a silver bullet. That actually, roll ups even with small companies can be difficult.
Right.
So you really need to see the synergies and the power. There's the synergies in, we're going to get savings and we can be more profitable by combining. But really the benefit is, how can our offering become that much more powerful and that much more compelling for the retailer when we put these capabilities together?
Eat or be eaten also ought to be a phrase that ought to be top of mind for independent retailers in some ways, right? Because and I'm not saying that consolidation should happen, but maybe they need to figure out new buying groups. They need to figure out new alliances that they can create to build their ability to compete, because the big are only getting bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of what happens with Kroger and Albertsons. And so it seems to me, and people have been talking about existential threats to the independent sector for a long time, but it just seems to me that right now what we're seeing is an enormous competitive challenge.
It's an enormous competitive challenge, and it would historically be, if there's a new format, being deployed nationwide, you could go visit it when it comes to your market, and you could clearly measure, the impact that it's having on your foot traffic in your store, and you can go walk that store to see what they're doing, and that was generally kind of tangible and measurable. But now, this threat is being launched even by the big players like a Walmart. Where you can kind of see what they're doing. A lot tougher to measure the impact that the technological advances are yielding.
Right.
And that's an impact that through this, this flywheel that happens when you have a technological connection to your customer, and the data that produces and then is in turn used in the offering, that becomes really powerful. And this sector is absolutely up against that right now. So it's really key for these retailers to be able to. Gary Hawkins. For these, this is a star-studded star-studded room here.
People just
at
walk
NGA.
in.
Yes,
Anyway.
but it's really important for these, for these retailers to think about how they can, leverage maybe some of these, kind of uncommon partners. And maybe it's a little bit of each other. And obviously, you have to be sensitive to FTC and things about that. It's not necessarily a big roll-up of this, but if there are ways we can think about our business where we can, collectively leverage a voice to finance, a voice to technology, there's probably some real breakthroughs that can happen there.
Well, we will continue to explore the subject. Anyway, that's it for this innovation conversation. Great to see you in person,
Great to
as
see you
always.
too.
And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.